Okay, today we're at the Mountain Springs Trailhead heading for Windy Peak. But I gotta say, this trailhead itself is the hardest part of the journey, finding this trailhead. And it's off of Highway 160. Here's Highway 160. And Highway 160 heading toward Pahrump. And right as you get to the hump of the road to Pahrump, you're going to turn right. But, you know, there is no sign here. So there's no way to know where to turn. And to make matters worse, it says, there's a sign that says dead end, residential use only. So, so you got to make this turn. If you miss it, then you got to head back down toward Las Vegas on Highway 160 for about a mile, and then U-turn and come back to this area. So this is a very difficult trailhead. And once you get to the trailhead, and remember it says residential use only, so it seems like you should not be here. But once you get to the trailhead, then the question is where to go to get started. Now, notice up the hill here, there's a communication tower. Let that be your first landmark. Head for the communication tower. Now, how do you get to the communication tower? There are a lot of little rabbit roads here. There are some to the left of us and some to the right, and I'm going to head up this road to the right and then look toward that communication tower and see if there's a connector. But once we hit the communication tower, I think, and the emphasis is on the word think, that there will be a trail that will take us further along. So we're going to figure this out together today. Here we go. Okay, so here we are at the Mountain Springs Trailhead, heading up this road right into the newly risen sun. And let's see if we can see that communication tower from the top of the road. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I can see the communication tower, and we know we need to get to that point, and then a trail is supposed to appear. We'll see if that actually happens, but at least we've got our first landmark. And then I believe we're heading up the hill, and we just need to stay on the ridge. And so let's just head for that communication tower and see what's next. Okay, my road gave out here. There's the road I've been on. I'm wondering if I was even at the right trailhead, but I did not see anything else. And so I think I head down, hit that other road, and head up. So we'll figure this out as we go. But yeah, I know I need to hit that communication tower, so that's where we're going. Okay, a little cross-country trekking here, but I've got to say I'm not the first person to have taken this route toward the communication tower, because I'm on what looks like a little connector trail that leads up to the road that leads up to the communication tower, which is straight ahead there through the trees. Okay, onward and upward. Okay, now it's starting to come together. Here is the road, and actually this road leads back down to the area where I parked. So that would be the Spring Mountain Trailhead that says residential use only. And there was another road to the left We took the one to the right, which actually was a more direct route, but hey, you could take the road to the left. If you're in a four-wheel drive vehicle, I guess you could drive all the way up to this communication tower and park up here and begin your journey toward Windy Peak. Otherwise, do as I did. I took the probably one of the most direct routes to get up here. Okay, we are at the communication tower, and just wanted to get a perspective now of where we are. So you can see Highway 160 down below. This is the hump that you go over the hump to get to Pahrump from Las Vegas. And there below us is the Mountain Springs Trailhead. And then we look up this direction, and there's a good shot of Potosi Mountain. And then looking around, we'll take a look up in the direction we're headed in just a moment, but I wanted to get a good shot in this more wide open area of where we are. And here you see heading toward Pahrump. And what else can we see from here? I think we're looking at the Spring Mountains, and potentially up there, Griffith Peak. And you can look on the Griffith Peak by Sexton Ridge page on Las Vegas Area Trails to see that ridge at the base of Griffith Peak. You can see the very tip to the left of Griffith Peak, that high point right in the center. We go a little to the left and you can see little snow, just the tip of Mount Charleston. And so yeah, there is an idea of where we are. And by the way, here is the communication tower, and we just jump this fence and look for a trail on the other side. So here we go. Okay, in Las Vegas Area Trails, every adventure is a place I've never been before. And so, yeah, we discover how to get there. I make all the mistakes possible so that you do not have to make them. For example, I had to do a couple U-turns on Highway 160 before I finally realized this was the spot. The Mountain Springs Trailhead. We're at the communication tower right now. And now we bring into play some big picture navigation skills. And if I am right, what we want to do is head for the upper ridge there. And then I'm going to imagine we continue along that high ridge, and we'll see a lot more when we get up there. Right now we just head down this direction, and I think we'll eventually find a way up to the high ridge and then begin to navigate that ridge to Windy Peak. And by the way, this is the first part of a number of sections I'm going to be putting together that will actually, if you put them all together, they go from this point all the way to Harris Mountain, along the Wilson Ridge, Mount Charleston eventually, which is, as I mentioned a little earlier, yeah, the Griffith Peak, Mount Charleston right there. And eventually I guess one could continue along these spring mountains. We're at the, I'll put Potosi Mountain over here, is the southern point of the Spring Mountains. And so theoretically, if we can put all these little sections together, we'd be able to get all the way to Bonanza Peak and beyond to the northern section of edge of the Spring Mountains. And so eventually we'll put all of that together, but for now, hey, we're just starting, and here we are with this ridge that actually should be once we top the ridge, we'll be looking down on the beautiful Rainbow Mountains, which you see on the west side of Red Rock Park. And you have Rainbow Mountain, Mount Wilson, Bridge Mountain, all of those. That's part of the Rainbow Mountains. We'll be seeing the Rainbow Mountain range very soon. And if you look at the Potosi Mountain page on Las Vegas Area Trails, Potosi Mountain South, where I summited Potosi Mountain and looked down upon the Rainbow Mountains, you can see the whole stretch of the Rainbow Mountains. But we'll be seeing stuff like that in just a few moments if our predictions are correct. So let's head for this ridge up ahead. And believe it or not, the little road behind the communication tower, which is right here, this little road actually ends and becomes a trail. So hey, we're gonna see if that'll lead us. I'm gonna predict it's gonna lead us up to this high point, but we don't know. We're gonna find out. Here we go. Okay, it looks as if this little trail slash roadlet, the reason I call it a roadlet is that I think that at one time this was a four-wheel drive road, but of course it's blocked off now at the communication tower. However, that is the high point ahead that I predicted we were heading toward, and sure enough, the little roadlet slash trail is heading up to that high point. So yes, that's going to be where we first top the ridge. We'll get an awesome view of the Rainbow Mountains, I think, from that high point. We'll discover that together today. And then we'll head left along the top of the ridge and be looking for a split off for Windy Peak. And here is a larger view of the area, and I'll just zero in on Griffith Peak in the center, and that ridge leading up to it is Sexton Ridge. Got a page for that on Las Vegas Area Trails. And yeah, to the left of Griffith Peak there was just a faintest view of the tip of Mount Charleston, snow-capped. We're about at 6,000 feet right now, and Potosi Mountain, of course, which is straight ahead center, is around 8,000 feet. And you can see the communication towers up at the top of Potosi Mountain, and Potosi Mountain South page, Las Vegas Area Trails. We stood there and looked down on this area, not knowing where it was. We're discovering this today. Okay, and back to that first high point where we hit the top of the ridge. Looking forward to seeing what we can see from the summit of that ridge. Here we go. And by the way, looking at the Mount Charleston Wilderness, as I mentioned, Griffith Peak, and you see a more rocky area to the, you see there's a saddle, and then there's another high point to the right of Griffith Peak. There's Griffith Peak Center, Charleston Peak, the very tip of it. You see a little snow, but then you see this saddle below Griffith Peak to the right, and that leads up to what I believe here is Harris Mountain. And we have done a Griffith-Harris circuit in both directions. And that shows on Las Vegas area trails, the Griffith-Harris circuit shows what the terrain is like on that saddle. So lots of areas that we can recognize now, but there's a lot that we don't know that's new. So this is really exciting, just putting together different sections of wilderness around Las Vegas, and this is a new one for me. By the way, just a heads up on this ridge system, it looks like from a distance that it would be steadily uphill. You would expect that, but no. This is the second descent, and I think that along this ridge, as you progress, it's not going to just be a steady uphill, but number of dips and rises. So prepare for that. Usually I like a situation where on the way I'm going up, and Potosi Mountain's a good example. So is Griffith Peak on Sexton Ridge, where you're pretty much going uphill steadily. But yeah, this part of the ridge system is a lot more broken up, so we're going to experience just a lot of hills and rises. Okay, continuing on. One thing I can say about this approach is that, yeah, it's a pretty definite trail, and you can see it heading over in this direction on up the hill, winding around to the top of the ridge up ahead. We may not hit that high point that we were looking at, but if we hit the ridge a little to the left of that high point, then we just ride the ridge heading north. So yeah, nice trail, even though it was very difficult finding the trailhead. And by the way, if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to see a new adventure every week, and drop me a comment. I answer all the comments that are given on the Las Vegas Area Trails YouTube page. So and then here we're panning around. Okay, onward to this ridge up ahead. And as we near the top of the ridge here, which is up ahead, wow, can't wait to see the view from up there. But this is a great side view of Potosi Mountain, and you can see Potosi Mountain Road in the center down there, or Potosi Canyon Road. And then to the left of that, you're looking straight down at the Boy Scout camp, now turned to a four-wheel drive operation. And then looking up at Potosi Mountain, I like to look for potential approaches here. I have been on a trail. You'll see Potosi North took a trail around the edge of Potosi Mountain and was looking for potential approaches up to the summit, and I think I see a potential approach there from that direction. So take the Potosi North page and then head up that that gully, either here or here, and this may be even better. I think I made it to the base of this gully, and then on up to the summit. There may be a route to the summit, but you know what, maybe not. It looks like a healthy cliff head wall all around the area, but yeah, as you look at it, you know, maybe you could wind your way around up at the top of this gully and then take a left up to the summit. I'm going to try that at some point. We'll see. Still healthy head walls there. We may hit a head wall that brings us to a stop. Okay, and this is a good day to show you a you know, Windy Peak Day is a great day to show you my wind mic. I've got a wind muffler. I'm going to pull it out so you can hear the wind without the muffler. I'll say a few words and I'll show you the muffler. It's just a short little microphone that's muffled for the wind, and it fits right into the earphone portion outlet of the phone. There's my technical expertise there. Okay, I'm pulling it out now. So now you get an idea of what things sound like without the wind muffler. This is the wind muffler. It's pretty cool. No long cords, and it rotates, and you can move it in every direction, but it plugs right into the base of your phone. And so let's put it back on. Okay, there we are with the wind muffler back in place. So really cool little device when you're in a windy area. And Windy Peak, if it's not a windy area, I don't know what is. Here we go. And here we are approaching the ridge line. Let's see what we can see from this ridge line. Okay, look at this. And it appears that, yeah, we're looking down into the Las Vegas Valley, right down into Las Vegas, and it's very hazy today, so you can't see too clearly, but I believe we are looking at Windy Peak straight ahead. There's our first view, and so it looks as if we continue along this ridge line up to a high point, and then we're going to have a choice of continuing on the ridge line or heading over to Windy Peak. And of course we're going to take the Windy Peak route. So here we go. And by the way, here is that high point that we were looking at from way below. And another point of reference here, I always like to have points of reference just in case the trail turns evil and breaks off into a bunch of different directions and I take the wrong direction. So one point of reference, as we mentioned before, is the communication tower right down there. So no matter what hill I'm on, I'm going to head for that communication tower and then back down to the trailhead. Okay, let's continue on toward Windy Peak. Here are some spring blooms along the way. Looks like beaver tail cactus. Fork in the road. There's a left and a right. Now I don't know if these are two separate ways, but I'm going to take the right. It may lead back down to the one on the left. We don't know, but I do know at some point it's going to break, the trail's going to break off, and one section is going to lead to Windy Peak, which would be a break off to the right, and then another is going to lead to continuing the way along the along this ridge system. So, and here we are, get a view of the land around us. And it's a very hazy day, very, very windy and hazy. I think all this is desert dust. So it's hard to point out some of the dim features in the far distance that you saw just a moment ago. You can see sections of red rock, that Aztec red rock Jurassic period frozen sand dunes. Okay, let's continue. Let's head on this right branch and just see where it leads. Okay, here's a cairn, not too far from that last split in the trail, and it looks like, yeah, you could go to the right once again, or head down to the left, and I think that reconnects with the main ridge trail. I guess this spot is for those who took the wrong trail and are deciding, hey, I either needed to go to Windy Peak in this direction, we think, or head along the ridge. So, okay, here we go. To the right, once again. Okay, so far our guesses have been spot on. It looks like this trail that I'm on, when I took those two right turns, does indeed lead toward Windy Peak. So let's continue along this trail, and by the way, let's take a 360. This is probably the highest point of this adventure, so it's a good place to take a 360 degree view, and you can see down toward the Las Vegas area. Very dim with all this desert dust today. And then here's Windy Peak, and you can see the last peak after Windy Peak of the Rainbow Mountains, and then up to Potosi Mountain and around down to toward the trailhead. And by the way, let's see if we can nail this. The communication tower is visible from here. I believe we're looking at it. Hard to see with the glare on the screen. Then continuing around. Oh, let's go up to this rise. This promises to be another great vantage point. Yes. So from here, you can see where the ridge line continues if we had taken that trail to the left, and you can see a portion of the Rainbow Mountains below us. The next peak after Windy Peak. I'm not sure what the names of all of these are, but we'll figure them out. And then a higher perspective of Windy Peak and Potosi Mountain. And the trail's continuing toward Windy Peak ahead. You can see it continuing along the ridge line here, and yeah, looking around, good view of some of the surrounding mountains in the Rainbow Mountains. And Potosi Mountain, and then the descent I'm making right now. Okay, onward. Okay, beginning what looks like the final descent toward Windy Peak. There's Windy Peak, another high point, and the last reddish peak in the Rainbow Mountains on the south end, and there's Potosi Mountain, and here's where we are. Very beautiful area here. Okay, continuing along. A few points of interest. I believe that we're looking at Mount Wilson. Straight ahead along the Rainbow Mountains. And over in this direction, we're looking at La Madre Mountain. La Madre and El Padre Mountain on the backside of Red Rock Park. And then we have Windy Peak. And Potosi Mountain. And the fine trail that we are on, leading to Windy Peak. I think we're going to skirt the mid section of this hill and then drop down to the approach for Windy Peak. Okay, let's scope out the approach to Windy Peak, and we're going to end up right down in this area, do a little class 3/4 climbing up this crack right in the center, and then we get on to the main area and the more gentle rock slope up to the summit. So we'll see how all of that goes. And just a quick 360. Potosi Mountain. And you see the beginning of the Red Rock band here. It's cool. And we are looking straight down to the Las Vegas Strip. However, it's so hazy, I'm not sure how much you can see there. There's Las Vegas Valley. Back to Windy Peak. Well, the crack actually doesn't look quite as bad from below as it did from way above. So it looks like it's a relatively easy crack to ascend and then continue on up. So here we go. Wow, it is so windy up here. Blown off the mountain. So we continue up beyond the crack to that little pine tree. Okay, so here we are continuing along. And there is the summit that we're heading for. So we just need to get down and around this rocky area and then continue on up to the summit. Here we go. Okay, navigating this rock is not too difficult, but wow, is it windy. Here's a little quiet spot. Well, not too quiet. And now and then you see a cairn, which lets you know basically which way to head. So we're going to go up to that cairn and then continue on. Another look at the approach. And that is the summit ahead. Okay, you can kind of see where people have traveled before. Another cairn to help point the way. I just came down this crack. So you're navigating a few little cracks. They're nothing really difficult to this point. And then continuing on up this crack toward the summit. we close in on the summit, just a quick note. I turn around a lot to remember how to get down so I don't get dead-ended by a cliff on the way down. And here I am up here and don't know how to get back down the mountain. And so what we're heading for is those trees right down in that area. And the larger view, that hill. I'll do another 360 here since I was zoomed in. On your feet with all this wind. This peak was aptly named Windy Peak, and there straight ahead I believe that is Mount Wilson, but we don't know for sure. And there's La Madre and El Padre Mountain right in the center. I think it's because of all the wind, we're having trouble focusing, but I do know that those are the Madre and El Padre Mountains. There we go. Okay, let's continue trying to stay on our feet up to the summit. I can't tell you how exactly I got here. I've been weaving around rocks and trying to stay on my feet with this really strong wind. I don't know what miles per hour it is, but it is just huge. There's the summit right ahead. Looking around. There you see toward Mount Wilson and La Madre Mountain just to the left of that tree. And then over to the main ridge system. Very beautiful up here. Yeah, this was once a sand dune in the Jurassic era. One wonders how in the world the sand stayed here in all this wind. Okay, here we are on Windy Peak Summit. Forgive me if I have trouble doing a 360 because this wind is just roaring and it wants to blow me right over the edge of this, which would be a very interesting trip for a while until you hit the bottom. Okay, let's see if I can turn here. Okay, turn achieved. So now you can see the summit area on Windy Peak. And let's get down to a little more secure area before the next gust of wind. There we go. There's Potosi Mountain. And then here's the whole summit area of Windy Peak. And to our right, yes, it drops off dramatically, sheer cliff. But here we are, Windy Peak. Beautiful, artistic, and windy. Slightly quieter area south of the summit. And we're looking up toward, well, there's the summit area up there. So I'm going to rest here a while. But yeah, if you're up on the summit getting blown off the mountain and you want a quiet area, just head south, find this rocky outcrop, and it'll be a nice place to rest before you head back. By the way, the Windy Peak total round trip is only about 6.2 miles, or no, 5.2 miles, I think. And so it's not a whole lot of distance. The climb at the end is interesting and fun, but mostly it's very good trail. And yeah, you can see out in the distance beautiful images of the valley below. Okay, let's go ahead and rest and then head back. By the way, this is the first Saturday in May, and it's getting close to 90 degrees in the Las Vegas Valley, but I have been chilled a bit on this trip, and definitely with the wind. I'd say we're looking at around 60, definitely under 70 degrees up here with this roaring wind. So this is actually, I guess this is a good time to be up in this area, up on Windy Peak, before it gets too hot. You don't want to come up here in July, for example, where it could be 110 degrees on some days, and these rocks, I imagine, would be really hot. Okay, well, let's rest a bit and then head back. Okay, here's another look at Windy Peak. Yes, we made it down through the maze of rocks and cracks, and it wasn't actually that hard. No wrong turns at all. But I was using this hill right here as a landmark on the way down, so it does help to know, so you don't imagine if I had gone straight down from the summit and over the edge of that. So yeah, you want to stay along the summit ridge line and keeping that hill on the other side of Windy Peak as a reference. And there might be a hill below this one that would be an even better reference. Anyway, that is what guided me along that summit ridge, because you can get lost up in a place like this and not understand where the summit ridge might be. Anyway, yeah, nice to be out of the wind. And here you see Potosi Mountain and just the area, one of the hills that I'm on in this area. There are a lot of hills up and down to get to Windy Peak, but yeah, what a fun trip that was. And by the way, if you like this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and also send me a comment. I reply to all of the comments, have met some really cool people along the way. Like to meet more. Okay, onward. Okay, I can already see a few future adventures. One is Mount Wilson. Now, if you try to make Mount Wilson from the First Creek area, parking area, yeah, you're going to hit a lot of brush, a lot of rabbit trails, and a lot of bouldering. I'm just wondering what Mount Wilson might be like if one took this high ridge here from the Mountain Springs Trailhead over to the back side of Mount Wilson. Interesting. We may try that in the future as we are going along this ridge system and heading north. So yes, Mount Wilson right there, and this is the back door to the Rainbow Mountains, all the familiar ones you see from Red Rock Park. And then again, here is a great shot, no wind right where I'm standing, so it's not messing with the focus on this phone. There's a great shot of La Madre and El Padre Mountains right in the center there. So a lot to discover here. And then of course, more of the frozen sand dune mountains here. And you can see this line, this ridge line, the lower ridge line here. There's a lower ridge line and an upper ridge line. The lower ridge line is the Rainbow Mountains. And one could technically summit a number of these mountains. That's interesting from this ridge line. So we may try to walk out to this peak here. Definitely much crazier, a lot more rock climbing if you try to ascend this from below. So yeah, this is like the back door entrance to the Rainbow Mountains, and we'll explore this more in time to come, maybe next fall. I want to get my running legs back after 3 surgeries in the last 2 months. Once I get my running legs back, yeah, we'll be able to carry to cover a lot more distance and reach these mountains that you see in the distance. Okay, onward and back to the trailhead. And by the way, I missed it in the haze. There is a straight shot toward the Strip in Las Vegas. But yeah, it's not a really good image because it's in the haze. And right behind the Strip, by the way, is Frenchman Mountain. You can see the faint mountain with camel humps there. And behind that, let's see, I'm all over the place here. Behind that is the Black Mountains in Arizona, which include Mount Wilson in Arizona. So Mount Wilson in Arizona, Mount Wilson in Nevada. It's a better view of Griffith Peak, Charleston Peak, and Harris Mountain in the afternoon sun, early afternoon. There you got them up close. And here you can see our route to Windy Peak. Right there. And if you look carefully, you can see the summit area. Let's see if we can get better focus here. I think the wind messes up the focus. There we go. Windy Peak. And then circling around, there's Potosi Mountain. And this trail continues on up to that high point right ahead, but you want to catch the place where it heads down back toward the trailhead. And again, a good indicator would be the communication tower down there. Okay, let's head back. Another look at the Mount Charleston Wilderness, and you can see a lot more with this angle of the sun. You see Griffith Peak on the left and Harris Mountain on the right, the saddle between. And as you look closer at Griffith Peak, you can see there's a snow line along Sexton Ridge. So first Saturday in May, still snow up there, but probably a lot more passable than if you tried to make it from the South Climb Trail in Kyle Canyon, because it's much more exposed and melting. Okay, we're just below the communication tower, and on the way back, let's do something a little different. We're going to take this maintenance road all the way back, see if it lands in the same location where I am parked. And that would just give another route that is road all the way, instead of that little trudge I did through the wilderness. But either way, they both work really well. Okay, onward. If you take this Mountain Springs, take this little road from the Mountain Springs Trailhead, and you see there's a split here. You want to take the right split. That leads up to the communication tower. And let's see. Yeah, don't take the left split. That won't do it for you. And there is the communication tower. And yes, this little maintenance road leads right down to where we began, which verifies this is indeed the Mountain Springs Trailhead, though it's signed for residential use only, and it may be disappearing, who knows. And here we are back at the beast, not the car in the foreground, the beast. Straight ahead here. And again, remember, if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and you'll receive a new video each week. And also, send me a comment. I answer all comments. Okay, that concludes Windy Peak. And I guess it looks more like a trailhead from, at this time of day. But remember, there were absolutely no cars, no markings when I first came here this morning.